outstanding my ladies. Welcome to another episode of Both TV. Beautiful, outstanding ladies with disability. Comes to you every Saturday, 10:30 a.m., where we change the disability narrative. The program is brought to you by Bold Heart Initiative. If you enjoy this program and you like this program and you want to continue, I look for your support in different ways. One, you watch our program, watch our YouTube channel, share it, like it, comment on it, and also we plead for data subscription of our channel. So you can call on the 5 active women, call on Freki, call on Afyong, call on Biose, call on Tomisi, and call on Osaki, your chief host for today. The program is on International Day of Polio, where we'll discuss more on the awareness of polio and how it flows. Continue, I'll talk on the women will introduce themselves so that we will go down deep into the program. And by introduction, you call your name, your state, where you reside, and your type of disability. But today I will be host and at the same time a guest. I'll start with myself. I'm Georgie. I reside in Port Harcourt, River State, work with Fair Care Foundation, a member of Bold Heart Initiative, and other things I do along the line. So that's me for today. So I'd like you, Freki, to introduce yourself while we go around as we keep on going. Thank you.
All right, very much. Awesome. My name is Freki Andresian. I'm a co-host of Bold TV, brought to you by Bold Heart Initiative. I'm based in Port Harcourt in River State. I am the ED of Fair Care Foundation, an NGO that brings that support services for vulnerable groups. I am a person or identify as a woman with disability using a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. Thank you.
Much, Freki. Afyong, please introduce yourself.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bold TV. My name is Afyong. I'm a medical laboratory scientist. I am based in Uyo, in Akwa Ibom State. I'm a member of Bold Heart Initiative, and I use a wheelchair for spinal cord injury.
Thank you very much, Afyong. Ine, please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Nana Lupu. I'm based in Abuja. My type of disability, I'm a polio survivor. I'm also a member of Bold Heart.
Thank you very much, Ine. Susie, please introduce yourself, Susan.
My name is Susan Kelechi Nwoma. I am a polio survivor and I'm a member of Bold Heart Network. Thank you.
Much. So now we know the ladies that will go discuss on today's topic, which is very, very interesting. It's International Day of Polio. Now we are doing it in commemoration of International Day of Polio that happened October 24th. And the theme that time is Together Let's End Polio. So we'll talk about polio, how we can end it, and how we survive towards it. It's all about the global effort to end poliomyelitis. Polio is a life-threatening disease caused by the polio virus. The World Health Assembly have taken turn in trying to see how they can eradicate polio in 1988. But somehow finally they got a conclusion 2002 where they could beat their chance and say, yes, we could end polio. Till date, polio has really, really calmed down. And that's what we're going to discuss today. And also on the women that have lived with polio, either from infant or a long journey of life, and how they've survived with it. So I'll turn the table now, not on me again, maybe to Freki and Afyong. So I didn't ask the question, so I will discuss more about polio. Thank you.
All right, Osaki. So like she said, this episode is in commemoration of World Polio Day. that comes to the world every 24th of October. They say better late than never. It was important for us in Bold Hearts on Bold TV to bring awareness on this day. And of course, we have 3 polio warriors who are going to be having the conversations. So my first question is, I'm going to turn the question over to Nne Alauku, who is an activist, especially in the area of polio. She does a lot of work with Rotary Club. And as we all know, there's something about End Polio Now. So Nne, I want to ask you, as an active person in the polio, narrative in Nigeria, where would you say Nigeria is currently in eradicating polio? Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. International have been trying all their best, investing to make sure that polio is eradicated. But Nigeria has tried. It's like for the past 30 years, Nigeria have been trying to eradicate polio. But because of the crippling, the outcome of polio, especially some parts of the country, they refuse that their children will not be vaccinated because they think that when the child is vaccinated, that it will cause the crippling of their children. So that's have drawn our country back in their fight to eradicate Nigeria. But polio in Nigeria is no more epidemic but pandemic now, and they have efforts to make sure that Nigeria is polio is at 0 level in Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So Nne is telling us that the fight to end polio in Nigeria has continued and has done well, where Nigeria is no more considered to be a country where polio is an epidemic. She has also pointed to 1 or 2 of the drawbacks as regards vaccination, where many people about the polio vaccine. So I just want Susan to touch a bit on where we are on eradicating polio, adding to the conversation over to Afem to ask the next question.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think 2016 or thereabouts, have declared polio free. In Nigeria, I think polio is at its barest minimum. Just like Nne said, we have not had incidents of polio. Of course, when you don't have incidents within a period of 3 years, that country is declared polio free. So in the last 3 years, we've not had incidents of polio. That is why it is assumed that polio free, as it were. So hopefully, even those states are polio free. We want to believe that. Anyway, not that I'm sure.
It's all right. Good news all around. So basically, when it comes to incidents, means the number of new cases. So what she's saying is that in the past 3 years, we have
3.
Yes, from when we're polio free, but the caution still remains that we must vaccinate our children, and we will take the free polio vaccines that happen around the nation, and encouraging that the misconception as regards the polio vaccine, we done away with that. We can maintain status quo. I'll turn the question over to Afyong so that she can go ahead. Afyong, over to you.
All right. I'll come to you first. I'd like you to share your, polio survival story. How did it begin? How did you first, contract this?
Thank you so much. Contact polio when I was 3 years plus. I was born in the northern part of Nigeria, Kano to be precise. And in the northern areas, awareness on polio vaccines and all of that is not there. especially in the 70s when I was born. So I had polio when I was 3+, and it was a whole lot of struggle. As the first child of the family, my mom had to struggle so much, taking me from one prayer house to the other. We are very spiritual people in this part of the world. We go for prayer, crusade, would leave Kano, come to Ogun State, come to Oyo State for prayers and what have you. And when all of that didn't work, we went to traditional places over there in the north. Some of the things I had to experience was digging a hole, burying me up to my neck.
Okay.
They said if I stay from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., the leg will straighten. Yes.
Yeah.
That the leg will straighten. And so my mom was like, if that will work, she will sit with me and do all of that. And in the end, none of those things worked. They took me to my hometown, native. They will cook all this native herbal medicine and say if they use towel and all of that, big blankets to cover me, and I take in the heat, it's going to help me to recover. And so all of those things did not work. And time was going. Academically, I was not going to school. I was already in preschool when it happened. So I had to stop school to start life all over, from one prayer and all of that. And in the end, we had to fall back to orthopedic hospital. And so when we went to orthopedic hospital, they asked that I start using calipers, and they started drilling me on how to walk. So I started learning and now started picking the particular device that would be easier for me. My mom didn't like the armpit crutches. She was like, will make me very broad and all of that. So we ended up using the walking sticks that I use. And it's not been an easy journey, in all honesty. But the truth is, this is about 41 years later. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful for the journey so far. I have learned, I have unlearned, I have relearned, and it has also given me the opportunity, especially in the years when I was a health volunteer, to raise awareness around polio, especially for those who are not educated. I had to use myself to encourage them, to tell them that you don't lose anything by giving these children the vaccines, whether the oral polio vaccine or even the IPV, which is the new one that came out. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm sure we would not all have the same disability. And having done that over time, it helped both the Hausas, because of course I will speak in their indigenous language, the Igbo, the Yorubas. I was always saying these things because when you speak in people's language, it has a way of sticking. And so it helped them come out of their shell and bring out their children for immunization, because of course polio happens from age 5 below. So that has basically for me, yes.
All right, thank you very much. Wow, that was there's anybody who has not had one funny story or the other in their disability journey. As in, it's enough to compile and write a book of horror stories, because imagine a child having to go through the things you went through when a little knowledge would have gone a long way to spare you all that. Well, let's move on. And I'd like to say, I'd like everyone to keep their answers brief so we can go around and everybody can share. Let's just keep the answers to how you came in contact, how you first contracted polio. Later on, we'll talk about progress as you grew older. So Asaki, can you share your story with us?
Okay, thank you much. An infant. So I think I was told that I was sick and gave me injection, though I was not immunized. So the injection they gave to me was stronger than my body system and everything went paralyzed. So even at that stage, they didn't know what to do, confusion everywhere. They tried their best, but it's just my head that was having life. Every other part is like not working. So that's how it began, and somehow, I was taken home where children with disabilities are. So that's how it all started, and that's how the progress starts to.
Move on to Nne. Osaki, how, could you just share briefly with us how parents react to, discovering that, their child would never walk again?
Stage, my parents were.
Did they have any knowledge that such a thing existed?
My should, because she was somehow a medical person, but my dad did not. So at that stage, I'm even surprised why she didn't even put in for immunization. So I can't even ask her, because right now she's late. She died long ago. So the question is, what really happened that you did not immunize me, So but I think shocking news to her too. And she was a young girl and all the rest. So she didn't know what to even do. They were just confused. It's like early 80s. So the awareness is still not really there. And that's how it all got to be.
Okay. So we've seen a case where, not, due to not having access to information, and then somebody who should have had access, but somehow didn't get to do what they needed to. Nne, let's hear your story.
I was born like every other child, and my mom gave birth to 8 girls, and I'm the 9th girl because she was looking for a male child. So she has already had 2 twins before me. I have a twin brother. So being the girl that gave her the male child, she was devastated. She felt really bad that she wanted to give me the best, but unfortunately, I fell sick, and I heard that she told me that the day she took me to the hospital, she left my twin brother at home, and they injected me. That was resulted me to polio. So she did everything. Took me to hospital, stopped my senior sister from school, just to make sure that I walk. But polio have taken over. That was how I learned that I became a polio. That was how I was affected by polio, and she did everybody. She stopped my senior sisters. I went to orthopedic hospital. Even when she didn't take me to orthopedic hospital because of the many children that she has. Just local using of lamp to put in the room, using of pillow, massaging, hot water, many things she used on me. And I was able to be alive, and I was able to manage and come working. Thank you.
Okay. But do you have any idea if you were immunized? Were you immunized as a child? Do you know if she did that?
Well, I didn't ask them, though my parents were working in university. So although they are illiterate, so I didn't ask them if I was immunized or what. Because that I'm not happy. All the 8 girls, it's only me that is physically challenged. I wasn't happy. I didn't even ask them why.
Okay, I can imagine how you felt. Why am I what different? I can imagine. All right. So while we were, going round, everybody, Manatu joined us. All right. So Bature, could you introduce yourself now that you're here? Introduce yourself and then share your polio story with us.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm happy to see your beautiful faces. I've missed you guys for a very long time. Osaki,
welcome.
Thank you. I'm a little bit from survival. I got contacted from this infectious disease at the age of 2, according to my mom. That is what she said. Because I grew up to finding myself a physically challenged lady. And funny enough, we are 12 in number. I'm the last born of 12.
Wow.
And then mom, how comes My elder brother is 70 years now. My late sister is getting to 50 something, because she gave gaps like that. But how comes my elder brother, being the firstborn, did not contact this ailment until me being the last born at the age or time that vaccination is moving all around and all that? She couldn't answer me, but I think that was an oversight anyway. And they are like one of my sisters said, they are not educated. It's only my dad that happened to do adult school. My mom cannot read, she cannot write. She don't even, in fact, she hardly speak English, Hausa, talk more of English. So sometimes if she's telling me story about how I became physically challenged, I mean, instances, a number of months. So it depends on how I calculate it. So you can see how difficult it has been for me to know how I became who I am today. But my dad was able to tell me the little bit about it, which I really work hard on myself, and I'm still working hard on it. God is. So I contacted these ailments, and they really, really work hard on it. Like really, really work. I know even to a point where I was really strong and grew up. I know my mom and dad did not rely on giving up. I know some situation or circumstances where we find ourselves lying down even under cars, going to Kano, going to other states to see that I'm working. Up to now, my mom, she will tell me we should go to prayer house, but I think I finally tell her, don't worry about prayers or drugs or places for me to get to work.
All right. Okay.
But
thank you for
and we thank God for everything.
Thank you for sharing your story. It was one thing here, education, lack of, literacy has been a common thing, because when people are knowledgeable, then, and they have access to the right kind of knowledge per time, it goes a long way to prevent certain things. So over to you, Freki, for the next question.
All right, thank you very much, Afyong. Awesome sharing by everyone. Thank you for your responses, and thank you for helping us make it brief. So I want to ask this to a few persons, one or two. And now we've talked about your experience while you have, how you first contacted the polio virus. I want to find out about what we refer to as the post-polio syndrome, and this has to do with growing up with polio and getting older. If it's something you've heard about, what is post-polio syndrome and what are one or two symptoms that you experience? So I'll turn the first part of the conversation to Susan. Please remember to keep it brief. What is post-polio syndrome? And as you have grown old, what are one or two of the syndrome? What have you seen in your body that you can refer to as that?
So much. Post-polio syndrome is survivors' experience over time. I researched on it because of certain challenges I've been having over some time now, and I found out that from 15 years after surviving polio, you start experiencing post-polio syndrome. Examples of post-polio syndrome is loss of your muscles, have fatigue. The distances I could walk before, I can no longer walk those distances, and I have this severe pain that needs analgesics, strong analgesics to manage the pains.
Okay, so thanks, Susan. So, and told that post-polio syndrome usually takes on from 15 years after a person has contacted the virus, and it leads to muscle wasting, muscle and body fatigue and pain. So I just want to ask Osaki, what are some of your experiences when it comes to the post-polio syndrome? Because I know that you have been complaining.
Thank you. This post-polio syndrome, it's just it forms as time goes on. What I have now is the pains. As the pains now is so much on the leg. I can't really stand for more than 5 minutes. As in really stand, you can't stand. And when I just stand, my feet start aching, then my joints, and even the distance, like Susan said, I can't cover that much any longer. It's not like I haven't had weight. That's even the sad part. I'm still tiny and but still yes, I still can cover. Comes with is what is terrifying. So it's and those that use the crutches might not really be able to, again, because of the pains and how we cannot cover the distance we want to. So you have to just fall back into what we call the wheelchair. So it's something you should just have in your mind that, okay, sooner or later or now, let's start planning for the wheelchair aid. So that's what I can say.
Okay, so this is just not to scare anybody, but that's probably Osaki's plan. But let me ask Hannah to Hani, because I've seen you with wheelchair and I know you didn't use it before. So is it part of post-polio syndrome or Yadinga? Which
All right, thank you very much. Straightforward, that's just the answer. Post-polio syndrome. I was actually using one stick, using my hand to support the other leg. And all of a sudden I noticed one of my leg was bending out. It was stretching out instead of standing normal. And then my back started paining me. And if I'm sleeping, my body will start paining me from nowhere. Sometimes I will be wondering what exactly I've done to have that pains. And then I will start having joint pains. And I jumped to using calipers. And the calipers right now, they are not friendly because the moment I use the caliper, another stress comes up, like pains all over. To some extent, I will have to use painkillers and all that to see that I achieve other things. As I'm talking to you guys right now, I'm on bed. Since yesterday, I've not gone out because of body pains. The moment you do some little activities, move around to do normal activities like any other normal person, that's where I start having this. So now I've spent like yesterday and today, I'm on bed because of body pains due to some activities I got myself for some few days. And that is the reason why I'm right now on wheelchair. Post-polio syndrome is not funny. It's not funny at all. It's not something to say, but I would love to advise my fellow women with disabilities or person with disabilities that don't believe that they can be on wheelchair. Just get your mindset. Let me now say that to scare you is not to scare you, is to let you know that you should get ready for wheelchair. That is if you want to plan your life better. I know I have a lot to do, and that is why I'm back on my wheelchair. Sometimes you see me on calipers and all that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so not to scare anybody out there, what they are saying, what I hear them saying is, as one grows older, there's something called wear and tear of the body. It happens with the aging cycle, and part of post-polio syndrome is being able to manage that wear and tear. And I think what we're trying to do is encourage someone that if your assistive device changes as you grow older, don't feel bad about it. Understand that mobility is what is key. So if prior to now what you were using were forearm crutches, and then you found that you have to somehow keep graduating and changing or mixing up the assistive devices, please do not feel bad about it. What is most important is that mobility is key. I'll turn the conversation Ne, because I know Ne also uses many assistive devices. I want to ask you as well, what has the post-polio syndrome been like for you? And then I'll turn the conversation over to Afio, because we need to talk about coping strategies. So Ne, go ahead. Remember to be brief.
Okay. I was, because the doctor told my parents, my mom, not to pamper me or not to allow me to use any walking aids. So I was walking, leaping till 2010. Then my leg started bending. My leg was bending too much and pain. I was feeling small pain. I discovered that my legs cannot carry my body, so I started using walking stick. As I'm using a walking stick in 2018, in 2020, I discovered that the pain was becoming too much. I started using clutches. As I'm using the clutches, then I started using also wheelchair because of the programs, activities, and a lot of activities. So to make me pass and cover up some certain things, I started using wheelchair. So that is what was this thing causes us, and it's not a bad thing. It makes you to because when it started, I was in the house, indoor. I didn't know what, I was shy of coming out. But when I got that activities is going on, I don't have to give up, and I'm not owing anybody. That was when I started to use those devices, and I started doing my activities as usual, started becoming happy again. It faster, it makes our movement faster. It reduces the pains in our body. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for sharing about and being open about your post-polio syndrome experiences. I even know how that post-polio syndrome has landed persons in the hospital, confined to hospital bed and almost immobile from where they were very active. So we must watch, as the aging cycle comes up, we must watch our bodies. And just to mention that to someone that the answer to pain is not to run to painkillers. Please, you can still seek medical intervention on how best to manage some of the symptoms that you may be experiencing. Why? Because it has been found in research that abuse of and painkillers is something that the disability community needs to be wary of, and persons with disabilities. So let's talk coping strategies. Afion, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Wow. We are going to move on to coping strategies. And when we say coping strategies, most times people think it's only physical, how you get to move around and do things, differently. But I would also like, you ladies to not just talk about how you carry out routine activities, but what are the mental coping strategies you have used? Like, we talked about the post-polio syndrome. And I can imagine suddenly realizing that your body is failing you in a way. So what are the mental coping strategies you use to keep you from slipping into depression or, just not being able to move on from where you are? So Susan, I'll start with you. Share at least one coping strategy you used in terms of, doing your routine and then the mental coping strategy.
Thank you so much. One coping strategy for me is to stay thankful. Because when I'm thankful, I'm grateful for how far God has brought me. It helps me to overcome the challenges, the pains and everything. Because sometimes, polio is funny. You see somebody all made up as you are seeing me like this, all made up with no leg to move. You are prepared, but your legs cannot carry you. So I just stay thankful and just positive about how far I have come and trusting that He who has brought me this far has not brought me this far to leave me. Because that's the only way for me, personally, that's the only way I cope with the challenges of polio, because it just makes you feel like a vegetable. When you see yourself, the things you could do, you can't do them. I was supposed to come down from a hotel maybe 30, 40 minutes ago, and the manager had to back me. As I find like this package, the guy had to back me down. That kind of thing.
Yes, so.
What will I do? What will I do? So the only thing is just to stay thankful, make yourself happy in the midst of everything and just be grateful for how far you've come and just trust that your latter will be greater. That's it for me.
All right. So for you, being open to making adjustments, being open, like you said, sister, that carrying is not fine. It's not funny at all. But when it's necessary and you need to get somewhere, you do whatever it takes, as long as you move from point A to point B. So being open to adjustment and staying grateful. All right. Let's hear your key strategy.
My key too. Thank you very much. My key strategy is just I just know it's a new start. And it's okay. this one has come. Let's see how we can manage it. So I don't meditate on it for long. No. Once it comes like that, I quickly look for another channel. How do I cope? I think I do more of the resting recently. I don't. I reduce all my activity to be more of a sitting down and maybe screen. And that's how has own side effects too. I do more of a sitting down activity and just tell myself, most because I use the mind stuff. Just say I will do it. The moment I just say I will do it, I will cope. Somehow I get strength to move or to do the next thing I want to do. But I don't deliberate on it, and I try not to exhaust myself, because from that, once I'm exhausted, different pains come. So I tried my body to work and not much. So those are the compliments. I don't rely on the pains, but okay, it's another stage. It's a phase. It will pass. So that's what I really do on high because I cope most times.
Okay, that's good. Flexibility. So you're flexible, you're open to other, you explore your options. You don't just say, oh, it must be this way. And then thereby you avoid frustration, which is not even necessary. So you're flexible, you explore your options and find ways to get what you need done. And you accept, from what you've said, I see acceptance. You accept that this is where we are now, so we make the best of it. Okay, that's great. Annie?
Just like she said, acceptance. Immediately I accepted myself, I decided to, like I said earlier, I use 2 walking aids like calipers and the wheelchair. And sometimes if the body starts its crisis, I leave everything I'm doing to marry my bed, to make my bed my best friend. I stay indoors, I don't do anything, I only carry my phone, chat. If the phone I get tired of using the phone, I sleep. I make sure that my brain, most importantly, I don't think, I calm down my nerves, I relax and just think of the positive way to go. And our way of thinking matters. Like me, if I think a lot, it affects me. It causes a lot of stress for me too. So like today I was in the hospital and I was trying to, it was never accessible at all. So the 2 of the guys were trying to hold me. So I was the one giving them ideas on how to hold the wheels from the back and the front and all that. So the life is that you just have to think on the positive way, the possible way to help yourself. Even when people are around are seeing like it's a pity, don't just look at it like it's a pity. It's something that is...
All right. Thank you, honey. All right, over to you, Preki, to talk about parent and caregiver encouragement and counsel.
Yes, so thank you very much for sharing some of the strategies, and I'm hoping someone is listening out there to pick up on these, because mental wellness and mental well-being cannot be overemphasized. If you're not wellness, your physical body will begin to manifest what you're carrying on the inside or in your mind. So, Nne, you expressed a lot when it came to your mother. You talked about how she helped you and all of that. But I want you to focus your attention now to a parent or a caregiver who may be catering to a child who has polio or who survived polio. What word would you say, based on your mom's experience, what word would you like to give that caregiver, whether it's advice, whether it's discussion? Just keep it brief. Speak to a caregiver or a parent of a child who is a polio survivor.
I advise the caregiver for them to pay attention to a polio survivor, and also most everything that a polio survivor needs, that a caregiver or a guardian should be given to such one. Though it's painful, but sometimes don't look on the mercy and not carry out the instructions that are being given. Especially during massaging or during the treatment, you have to make sure that the child pass through those instructions being given to the caregiver. And also, don't allow a polio survivor to do what he or she was not asked to do. Sometimes we are stubborn. Not that because of the pain, because of what we are passing through. You're looking at other children running around, we feel bad and it makes us to be stubborn. Not that we are stubborn, but because of the challenge, because of the one place that we are being confined in, it makes us to be stubborn. But don't look at it, or sometimes when we are stubborn, you say, okay, go, some caregivers or parents, when their children, person with disability are stubborn or refuse to do something, they'll just say, oh, they will not like to waste their time on the child again, because maybe they feel that they have tried their best. But my advice is, don't give up on any child that is polio survivor.
All right, thank you, Renee. She said, do not give up on that your child. She has also said, care for the child, but I would like to flip it and say, do not limit the child in spite of the physical disability, and also adhere to doctor's instructions in the care of that child. Susan, I'd like you to mention, because you were drugged and put in a pit. So what would you like to tell a caregiver or
Only looking back and thinking about this, it's funny, but then it wasn't funny. I would say to a caregiver, early intervention is key. Polio has happened, it has happened. You see, going from one prayer house to the other, going from one place to the other and wasting all of those years tends to slow down the time of the child. Get to an orthopedic hospital, they are the specialists. They'll give you the proper advice, whatever assistive device the child needs to use. The child will use that and be able to navigate, go back to school, and live a normal life. It's important that we go back to the professionals. They are the ones who will help us in early intervention instead of digging pits, going for prayers, and all of that. All of those are good, but even with wheelchair, we pray. Sitting on the wheelchair, walking with crutches, we still pray. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Susan. So we've heard it from some persons about the role of the caregiver. And I want to emphasize that you do not deny your child of their rights because of seeking help or seeking solution. Poliomyelitis, or a child being struck by the polio virus or having the polio virus, should never limit that child's development milestones in the area of learning. So when it's time for school, let the child go to school so that the child will hit the marks along with their peers. So please, a caregiver and primary caregiver or a parent, your intervention for that child can happen concomitantly, that simultaneously. So while you're doing medical interventions, school is still essential, life is still moving forward. Do not deny or keep one for the other. Early intervention medically, the right intervention, is also key in the strengthening of the legs of a child. In Faker, we had a child who was crawling on the floor, but with intervention, now she uses elbow, forearm crutches. So do the needful, but do not deny that child of their basic rights, and education is key and important. So let me turn it to the last segment, Afyong. Let's begin to wrap this up.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. We talked about, counsel for caregivers, parents, and other, members, the persons that are directly responsible for polio survivors. So now, ladies, we're going to be very brief. Keep it under 30 seconds so that I can go around, because we're going to be sharing our last thoughts on this topic. So I'll start with you, Hani. What are your last thoughts? What do you want to say as we round up?
Thank you very much. Is that we should not give up on all this. We should not allow it to be a distracting thing for us. We shouldn't allow it, whether it is polio or whatever form of disability we find ourselves. Like for me, I've not given up, even in the pains. As it is right now, I am hoping to stand up later and do my work. And then we should stay away avoid anything that will make us look less in the society. We are all one. If we are in an environment where there is discrimination, you should try to enlighten them instead of fighting it negatively. And I say thank you all guys for this wonderful opportunity. And I need you all we need each other. Let's pray for each other. Let's keep the loving and let's keep the boldness and the boldness together. I love this very show and I'll always love you guys.
Thank you. We love you too. Thank you so much.
We love you. We love you too.
Ne, your final remarks.
To the parents and caregivers, please don't give up on your child. When you discover that your child is a polio survivor, have contracted polio, please go for advice, counseling. In pains, polio survivor, please, we have massaging. You can use hot water and be massaged that affected place that is paining you. And also, I advise you to be on foot. When you're discovering that your legs cannot carry your body, or you're discovering any pains in your body, taking drugs is not the option. It's not the final option. And also to our parents, polio is not a death sentence disease. It can be managed. Please, if you discover that your child has contracted polio, when he reaches the stage of going to school, please enroll the child in this school. Or if your child is not that intelligent, you can enroll the child in a vocational center. The child will be useful to you in the future. Why I'm talking to parents? Because my parents did not give up on me. They made sure that as my senior sisters are going to school, I was enrolled in school with them. So please, parents, don't give up. Make sure that your child or that child that is polio survivor is an asset and not a liability to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Don't give up. Don't give up. Osaki?
Okay, thank you very much. My last remark is polio is not full stop but comma. Means the child still have life and the child can still proceed to have success in the future. So for polio survivors, it's something that has come. Just accept it and look at the brighter parts of your excelling. The more you succeed, the more it looks like you have no issue. It's only when you didn't succeed that the polio hits you on your face. But once you're doing well in life, you have more glory to celebrate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Osaki. Susan?
Okay, so my final words would be polio is not a taboo. Early intervention is key. Proper management. Allow the child have proper education. It's not a mental disability. It's just paralysis of the legs, and with the proper assistive device, the child can do well, the child can thrive well. And do not isolate the child. Most times polio victims are locked up inside the house. They are not allowed to mingle in mainstream society. That is not the best way. Let that child be able to socialize and do things with other people, because at the long run, that child is not going to have a society of his or her own. So it's important that from inception, we start mainstreaming polio survivors, even from a young age. Your classmates, your peers will see you as an intelligent chap, and they would even identify with you, not with your disability. Your disability means nothing, because there are even people who have their legs, their hands and everything, and they are not as educated as we, the polio survivors. Lead and let lead. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I like the way you said there's no special society for persons with disability. It is the same society that everybody belongs to. So the earlier you get your child integrated into the mainstream society, the earlier, the sooner they will be able to adapt and begin to, work towards the future. All right. Thank you very much. Reki, do you have anything to say before we round up?
Okay, so mine would be to the polio warriors out there. especially forerunners, persons that have gone ahead, make sure you continue to raise awareness. Add your voice to the conversations that are happening around that disability so that misconceptions can be done away with. Negative stereotypes that inform negative attitudes can be stemmed, and persons, irrespective of the form of disability, can live their full lives. Thank you.
All right, Osaki, over to you as the host. We are back to you now.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, asking intelligent questions, and my women that polio survivors and warriors that answered the questions asked. So I want to tell the house, thank you very much. And this program comes to you every Saturday, 10:30 a.m., powered by Bohat Initiative. We still solicit for our subscription, and also if you want to support us, we'd like you to share our videos, comment, like it, and if you want to be a discussant, you can call on us, call on the 5 women that are very active: Freki, Afyong, Oluwatomisi, Beyonce, and I, your chief host. And this program will come again next week Saturday with another topic. Stay tuned and always expect us and listen more, because we are here to educate and to create awareness. Thank you very much. So, ladies, I would like us to unmute our mic and let's just say a good bye-bye as we end today's episode.
Bye-bye. A good bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.